Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with Dr. Chmielewski from the Bauer School of Music at Florida Gulf Coast University. He's talking about our third and final, sad to say, in this semester, course that combines music and art. And his topic this week is going to be minimalism. Thanks for joining me again, Tom.
Thank you.
Well, we have enjoyed so much what you've brought to us so far. And I think we're all looking forward to minimalism, what you're going to do with minimalism.
Well, this is my favorite of the three.
Is it?
Yes,
All
minimalism
right.
is very, very fascinating. There was a time in the 1960s, there was a movement toward how much you can make with very little.
Right.
Perhaps some of you might be aware of the Japanese Zen gardens, where we see just rows of sand and just one little tiny plant. I mean, this is minimalist landscaping. And there was a movement that affected music called minimalism, and a host of composers that wrote a lot of music with the smallest amount of material. And that's what minimalist music is.
The fewest amount of notes?
Fewest amount of notes, fewest amount of perhaps even instruments, fewest amount of musical material. And try to create a composition just based on little musical means.
Interesting.
Yeah, minimalist art, minimalist music.
Challenging themselves to
That's
do
right.
something really, really unique.
How can you come up with something with very little stuff to work with? And that's what we're going to be talking about in this class.
Fabulous. And you think about that now when we're all thinking about mindfulness and focus.
Right.
That's not anything really new, is it?
It's not. No, this has been going on for, we can go all the way back to the Middle Ages when we look at this sort of thing. But what we see now in minimalist music is we have all these instruments and all these sounds that we can create. Well, we've been talking about Debussy and how he changed color, and we talked about Schoenberg and how Schoenberg tried to create distortion and dissonance, and now we've kind of narrowed back in and tried to refine into a creation of a music or art that uses very, very little means of producing that art. And so,
Tell us about how you chose Piet Mondrian. Was there a variety to choose from, or?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of minimalist art, and the reason why I particularly like Mondrian's work, just because he's got a really nice balance of, of just lines and color.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And in Short Ride and Fast Machine by John Adams, we're going to see that same thing. It's just a matter of how do we make a line in music, and how do we create color within that line. So there's a nice correlation between the two works.
A correlation. Interesting. Do you, when you close your eyes and think of color, what do you think of as a person who studies all of this?
Well, I think I have a very musical mind. I've done music. That's all I know. And so when I think of color, how is it that we can create color in music? It's the same thing we would have talked about in the Debussy class. And so I'm going to explain how the process by which a composer can create color, very specific colors of blues and reds and yellows on the piano. And we can relate that to minimalism, we can relate it to impressionism, and even to expressionism, because those colors are rather stark and not as blurred and tinted as we might see with the impressionist painters.
And thanks to you, we're all developing a little bit of an ability to do that.
I hope so. Yeah, that's right. That's part of it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. What did you study first? Music?
I actually studied the accordion. Of all things.
Really?
I fell in love. My dad was Italian. My mom was Italian. I grew up starting with the accordion. And then when I got to college, I wanted to be a medical doctor, but could not stay away from Beethoven. So I decided, you know what, I think I need to do this. And it's been my passion ever since. So very long time.
Fascinating. And then art?
Art was something that I had done since I was a kid. I'd always kind of loved to mess with watercolors. I didn't think I was all that good at it, but I really appreciated the history of it. And I always go to Europe and visit the great art museums. And so it's always been an interest of mine, especially how they both work together.
Well, it's clear to see that you have a passion for it. And we're so glad you're sharing it with us. And we hope to have more opportunities to study and learn with you.
Thank you so much.
Please try to come, especially if you haven't been able to make it to number 1 or number 2, to enjoy session 3, Music and Art, the focus on minimalism, with our own professor visiting us from the Bauer School at FGCU, Dr. Chmielewski.